So check this out. This is going to be the biblical meaning behind why Eve, specifically Eve, was tempted by the snake in the garden to eat from the fruit of good and evil. Now, what we need to understand here, guys, is that Eve is actually symbolism. Because you need to understand that Eve is actually a representation of your right brain, your feelings. So what happens when your feelings start to get out of order? You start to do things that don't make sense. Because a lot of the things, think about a lot of the things that we do down here in the third dimension. A lot of the things we might stress eat just based on how we feel. We might do a lot of things based on how we feel that don't really make sense. This is why we need what? Adam, our left brain, our logic, to look out our feelings and make sense out of it before our feelings start to get out of control and start not making sense. So we start to go out there and do things that are based on our feelings that don't carry any practical, any logical meaning. Because if you understand in the Bible, when God said he created light, that means he created the external realm. And the external realm is governed based on laws of logic, based on laws of practicalizing. So when you throw a ball down, the ball hits the ground because it's gravity. So in the external realm, you need to make sense. So here, when the Bible talks about Eve had the snake deceit Eve and she ate from the fruit, meaning that she ate something that was low-hanging, a desire. So she was convinced by the snake. The snake is just another symbolism for the desire of man, because you might have a desire to do something that you really shouldn't be doing, something that's deviant, something that's non-benevolent for you, because a desire is like a never-ending pit. But it can also be good, because if you learn how to direct that fire, that desire, then that can take you in the direction of something that you actually want to manifest into your life. Because desire is unlimited, right? So what you have here is your right brain getting convinced by your desire to participate in some feeling, some fire, some holistic nature that don't really lead to anything benevolent necessarily. So what you have here is the feelings convincing, listening to the desire, and the feelings, the right brain and the desire together outweigh the logic, the left brain, to carry out something externally that does not make any sense in actuality. And so the Adam really is supposed to be governing the feelings, and it's supposed to be telling Eve, hey, listen, right brain, listen, feelings, listen, internal water, listen, internal woman. We can't do necessarily A, Y, and B, and Z because it's going to get us off track. Because, when it talks about the Lord God, talks about God in the Bible, it talks about God as an external being, but God also wants you to know that you are the governor, because he handed you this temple of God to govern his spirit, and he needs you to be the governor over this temple. So you need to manage these organs and these different aspects of yourself, because God is warning you in the Bible, or the writers of the Bible are trying to explain to you how if you let your feelings outweigh your logic, you're going to find yourself in situations that don't necessarily make sense, and you're going to be one of those people that are like, damn, I let my anger, my fire, my desire, my passion get the best out of me, and I got emotional, and I did something that didn't really make sense. Like, for example, let's say you're stuck in your desire, stuck in your feelings, and you're pissed off at somebody. So now you want to go harm them, you want to go hurt them, you want to go defraud them. But the way you're carrying it out is just from your feelings. So you rush into this person, you go beat them up, and like, think about the people that stab people 20 times and then they wake up from it and they're like, yeah, something came over me. They're talking about a spirit that came over their soul, and since they couldn't manage their soul, something was able to hijack them. This is why God is warning you in this book in a very exoteric, external way. So instead of, let's say, telling you that, yeah, this is talking about your thoughts and feelings and your internal aspect, here it's just talking about, let's take these things and let's make these things look like man and woman exoterically in this book, but really we're talking about something that internally. And when you read the story, you're supposed to understand the moral of the story. This is why a lot of Abrahamic societies are formulated around the idea of the woman is not supposed to speak over the man, and the woman is supposed to listen to the man and follow the man. But it's not about that exoterically. It's about esoteric. It's about internal, not us going and subjugating, because they use that as an excuse to go do that, but that's not what the book is talking about. Because see, this is people getting overly lost in their left brain energy, and this is why Jesus was trying to remind you of the power of your right brain to subconsciously formulate and creatively formulate and see and feel about things from a whole new perspective, because it's all about how you formulate subjectivity and objectivity. This is why the Bible, when God created the universe, from the biblical perspective, he talks about creating light and darkness. What's external, what's objective, the realm of logic and the realm of practicalizing, masculinity, Adam, and he also created what? Subjectivity. He created feelings, fire, passions, chaos, the realm of Eve, women. This is why you even have in the story Lilith. Lilith also comes from below the horizon. She comes from the night sector of the sky. So when God created darkness, he also created, this was the beginning of Lilith. Because what? Adam also had a wife or something named Lilith, but then they got rid of her. They got rid of her ass because she was too chaotic. Now that ain't good. That ain't bad. It's just when you let these natures inside of you go out of whack, you're gonna find yourself in an electrical charge or in a magnetic charge that you cannot necessarily control, and you're gonna do something that you regret. You might call somebody just out of your feelings and just cuss them out and be like, hey man, F you, this and this and that, your mama, blah, blah, blah. And then you might come to your senses because you wasn't in your senses, because you let your feelings, you let Eve get too chaotic, and then you got in a passion, you got in desire. Eve again ate from the snake. It took that fruit, that desire, because when you are observing reality, there's so many waves of possibility existing simultaneously, but whenever we are not the ones in control of our reality, we're going to collapse one of those waves into a particle, into a fruit, and eat from that particle, eat from that fruit, an undesirable outcome. And at the end of the day, you're going to find yourself in a situation that's non-pleasant. And then what happened? God kicked Adam and Eve out of the garden. You're going to be like, oh yeah, man, I don't want to be in these type of thoughts and feelings. Like, this is not good for me, blah, blah. But we repeat this behavior again and again and again because it gets deep. It gets deep. I don't want to break it down too deeply yet because, it might get some people lost and things like that. But yeah, just understand that Eve is just your feelings and Adam is your logic. So you're not supposed to get lost in your feelings and you're not supposed to get lost in your logic. You're supposed to take these two and you're supposed to equalize them and make them balanced. So man is not above woman and woman is not above man. Left brain is not above right brain and right brain is not above left brain. Because if you examine your head, I would like to think that y'all some high vibrational alkebolons and non-alkebolons. And I'd like to think that both your left brain and right brain is equal to proportion and symmetrical. So I would like to therefore think that, God does not favor one over the other. Real shit. Love you guys. Appreciate you. And I'm going to see y'all on the next video. You better believe it. Real shit.